Take a step on the road to fun. Take a step on the road into nature. Take a step on the road into the past. Take a step on the road to sharing powerful stories. Take a step on the road to experiencing big ideas. Take a step with Humanities on the Road as speakers from the Pennsylvania Humanities Council take you on a journey through history, literature, the arts, and the world around you. Learn more about Humanities on the Road and discover why the humanities are important to you at humanitiesontheroad.org. Welcome to Humanities on the Road, where we join you from Debence Antique Music World in Franklin. This museum houses a collection of more than 100 antique mechanical instruments that date from the mid-1800s to the 1940s. Hello everyone, I'm Tracy Matisak. Humanities on the Road is a wonderful opportunity for audiences all over the state of Pennsylvania to explore history and the arts and the ideas that shape our world. As part of today's program, we are celebrating songs written by and about the people of Pennsylvania. And to help us do that, we've got our special guest, PAULA PURNELL. PAULA is a musician, she's an educator and an arts advocate. She is an award-winning performer who has been making music since she was just a little girl in her father's church choir. PAULA holds a doctorate in education, and she is especially interested in what we can learn from listening to music from different places. Please join me in welcoming PAULA PURNELL.
Well, hello, and I'm so happy to be here in beautiful, historic Franklin, PA, and especially to be at Debence Antique Music World, where we're just surrounded with all of these wonderful artifacts and evidence of how people have been making music in Pennsylvania for hundreds of years. People have been making music here for even thousands of years. And when you think about it, music is just an amazing force in the world. Every place, every time that there have been people, they've been making music. And I just love looking at different times and places through the lens of music, because you can learn so much about people. You can learn about their history, their culture, their society, what they celebrated, what made them laugh, what made them angry. It's all right there in the music. And so what I'm going to be doing today is exploring how people have made music right here, starting with the indigenous cultures of Western Pennsylvania, long before this was Pennsylvania. One group who lived here were the Iroquois. They were originally 5 warring tribes who came and learned together to live in peace. There were the Cayuga, the Mohawk, the Onondaga, the Oneida, and the Seneca. And over here in the western part of the state, we hear mostly about the Seneca. So I would invite you to just imagine if you were in an Iroquois village, even 1,000 years ago. Maybe it's evening and the young women have gone into their longhouses, and the young men who are still outside might make love flutes. See, men and women weren't allowed to see each other after dark, so the young women would be in their longhouses, and the men would make love flutes and play them outside of the longhouses of the women that they admired. So, if you were in an Iroquois village long ago, in the hills and hollows of western Pennsylvania, you might hear music like this. Thank you. There's a wonderful story about the love flute and how it came into being. there was once a very brave young warrior, and he was brave in every way possible except when he saw the woman he loved. And then he would become so shy and tongue-tied, and he watched the other young men talking to her, and he got so frustrated one day that he took a bow and arrow and he shot an arrow into the air and he just chased it. He was just running away from the village, and he ran and he ran, and the arrow just kept going and going. He ran for days and days, and finally the arrow came down and the young man fell exhausted in the woods. Well, the animals of the woods saw the young warrior and felt so sorry for him that as he slept, they created the love flute, and they gave it all of their voices and all of their songs, so that when he played it, the girl would know what was in his heart. So of course he started walking back to town. As he walked back to the village, he played his love flute, and when she heard his music, she knew that it was just for him, and so she came out, and of course they lived happily ever after. But of course, we don't always want music that's going to make us fall in love or fall asleep. Sometimes we need music that's going to get us up and moving and working. Think about when you have to clean out your garage or the refrigerator. So you crank up some music and it keeps you moving. And people have been doing that for thousands of years, whether they were working on the railroad or working in a coal mine or working in the fields. They used music to keep everybody working together. And the Iroquois, who lived in our region, did that too. When they wanted to make music, though, of course, they couldn't just run down to the music store. They would use what Mother Earth provided. So some of the instruments that you might see from long ago, this one is made out of a turtle shell, right? But you don't have to worry about the turtle. There were actually laws against hurting turtles. In the Iroquois culture, the turtle is a sacred animal. Part of the creation story is that a turtle carried the world into existence on its back. So you would never hurt a turtle. But if you found an empty turtle shell, you could take some deer skin, which is what's on the back here, and cover the holes, a little sinew to put it together, and a little something to make some sound. What do you think's in there? Beans. Good guess. Anything else? What else would you put in there? Pebbles, stones, maybe even bones or teeth. I don't know what's in there actually, so I can't tell you. I should have it x-rayed. But something that would be in the environment. Another thing that you can make is something that we can grow in our own backyards. It's one of these. Gourd. Yes, a gourd, exactly. People make bird houses out of them. But of course, the indigenous people, these were wonderful, functional gifts of Mother Nature. You could make bowls and things to carry things. And you could also make a really nice musical instrument out of it. So that's another way you could make one. Another way to make a rattle is using skins or hides. When you first get a skin, it's very soft and pliable, so you can cut it out into any shape you want. Then you would turn it upside down, sew it together, turn it upside down, and pack it with sand. And put the sand in there until you have the shape that you want. Then you just wait 3 or 4 days, and you pour the sand out, and you have this nice shape, and it's nice and hard. And of course, you could put some dried beans or something in there, and you've got a nice sound. So lots of different ways that the Iroquois or the Woodlands Indians could make music out of everything around them in nature. So, remember when we said this was an interactive kind of program? I could use a few people to help me play some of these instruments so we can do an Iroquois song. Do I have any volunteers? Do you want to come up? I don't know if you had a choice there, but thank you so much. It's great to have a volunteer. Who would like to come and join this young man? Come on, I need 3 more volunteers. Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. We're down to 2. Come on up. I see that glimmer in your eyes. And 1 more. Would you like to come up? Oh, good. Thank you. See, we're a band. It's great. Thank you. And I'm just going to play the bells. Of course, early on there wouldn't have been bells, but later when the British came and they started trading, this would have been something they would really like to have to add a little music to the band as well. Now the song that we're going to play is a work song. It's called the Seneca Canoe Song. And it's a song that, you know, if you've ever paddled a canoe, you know that it's good to keep everybody paddling and working together so you don't go around in circles. And this song would help everybody keep the beat. And it's pretty simple. I'll say the words if you want to say them back, just so you can try out the language. It's Kayo, Waji, Neo, Kayo, Waji, Neo. That's the whole song. See, it's excellent. All right, so we're going to start a little beat up here. Kayo, Waji, Neo, ho, hey, oh. Kayo, Waji, Neo, Kayo, Waji, Neo. Kayo, Waji, Neo, oh, hey, oh. Kayo, Waji, Neo, Kayo, Waji, Neo. That's the whole song, and you're just catching on, so we're going to do it again. Ready? Kayo, Waji, Neo, oh, hey, oh. Kayo, Waji, Neo. Kayo, Waji, Neo, Kayo, Waji, Neo, oh, hey, oh. Kayo, Waji, Neo, Kayo, Waji, Neo. And then the band goes, ah! Have a hand for the band. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Always good to have volunteers. Well, the Eastern Woodlands Indians who lived in our region might have continued living just as they had for thousands of years. But of course, in 1681, William Penn was granted this land by the King of England. William Penn was an amazing person. He was a pacifist and a Quaker. And he had this idea that people of all different kinds and backgrounds could come and live together in peace. It was such an unusual idea that he called it his holy experiment. And he was very proud of Pennsylvania, the lush woodlands and the farmland that was here. And he began inviting people from the old land to come to the new land of Pennsylvania. And people came, lots of people came. Pretty soon, Philadelphia was a pretty big metropolitan area. But over here in western Pennsylvania, where we live, this was the wilderness. There were actually British laws against moving west of the Allegheny Mountains. So nobody was even quite sure what was over here. But in about 1750, Lord Dinwiddie, the royal governor of Virginia, realized that the French were starting to build forts up and down the Allegheny River. And he knew the King of England wouldn't be happy about that. So he got word to the king, and the king decided that he would find a volunteer, someone who could come to western Pennsylvania and tell those French that they better leave. And the young volunteer that he found was George Washington, exactly right. And on my way here from Pittsburgh, we kept passing the George Washington Trail signs. So I knew I was following that same trail that George Washington did in 1753 when he came here. Well, the song I'd like to play from that period was written by a songwriter from Pittsburgh named Robert Schmertz. He was a wonderful songwriter in the 1940s and 50s and wrote great songs about the history of western Pennsylvania. And this song is called Forks of the Ohio. And as you know, this is an interactive kind of event, so I'm going to need you to sing along with me. Another one of my heroes, Pete Seeger, says, the concert's not over till the audience sings, so we're going to keep everybody singing. At the end of each verse, I'll sing a line. He just came a-looking and a-walking and a-riding to the forks of the Ohio. And I'm going to ask you to repeat whatever I sing there. So you would sing, he just came a-looking and a-walking and a-riding to the forks of the Ohio. And if you'd like to accent those last two beats with some claps, that would be excellent too. So I'll sing it, then you sing it, do those claps, and we'll be ready to go. So.